Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Morganon, and I sincerely apologize. I know it has been over a month. This is the longest delay it's been since I produced a Gothic 2 video, but truth be told, this has been a very frustrating and discouraging episode to record. One of the first things you'll notice as we proceed is that this is not live commentary at this point. I've tried recording this episode live a couple of times and have had different technical issues each time. Finally got frustrated and decided to use the footage I had and just record post-commentary over it rather than try and do another live recording of it again. It's simply been an exhausting process, and even this one didn't go off without a hitch, so it is what it is. I think it's just a matter of getting this video out the door so that we can finally move on and get to Jarkandar, because what we're going over today is the Paladin, the Militia and the Mercenary bits, where we get back to Corinus after leaving the Valley of Mines. Dealing with the Valley of Mines is the same pretty much no matter which faction you are. I went over all the things we need to do in the mage playthrough in the last couple episodes, so if you think you missed anything, just go back to that. There are some different things that happen at the start of Chapter 3 once you get back as the other two guilds, which are what we're going over today. But before we go on, I just wanted to address the extreme amount of bullying and harassment and slander that I have been victim of as a result of my decision from the beginning of this playthrough to use a texture pack in this walkthrough. Now, I had my reasons for it. Basically, I think that this game could do with a facelift, and many people have disagreed with me on that. Pretty much subscribing to the idea that is a universal given truth that texture packs always look worse. Now, I concede that there are a lot of problems with the one I chose and a lot of problems with the ones that I've seen, but I have a habit when I use these things to focus on what I think it does better and ignore the things that it does worse. But I pretty much resigned myself to the truth that the bad outweighs the good in the case of the texture pack I was using, and at this point I simply do not have a real alternative for it, and I don't have the time to try and play around with some different ones to find a better one. Really, it was just a matter of, I think some of the exterior environments look better with a texture pack because there are a lot of like weird sort of mismatching colors in the default textures that I'm not really a big fan of. Some of that might just be the fact that my monitor is not color balanced properly, and frankly I've never gotten around to fixing that. But I like the more sort of temperate green color palette that really comes with this texture pack. But when we really get into comparison side by side, which I've done and I'm showing right now, there are just too many things that this texture pack, the Reese's texture pack, decided to screw with that really didn't need it. And there are some areas where there's even worse color clash than there was in the vanilla game. And more importantly, it's the city and interior environments that look a lot worse as a result of this texture pack. Even though it upscales some things, got some more detailed textures, there are other things where it inexplicably decided to change everything, like the inside of the monastery having sheer slate walls for some reason instead of like cobblestone and that kind of thing. A lot of people have argued, when I say a lot of people, it's just a few very emphatic people, have argued that texture packs like this make the seams in the textures more visible. I actually counter that. I think that the original seams were more visible in a lot of cases. In cases where, like, grass textures, the seams between the grass textures, especially where there was like a road running through it, stuff like that, seemed very obvious to me, and I think they were toned down a bit with some areas in the texture pack. But as I said, I'm not really gonna I'm not going to get that deep into my thoughts on the matter, because at this point I've resigned to just getting rid of it. The reason I kept it in this episode is because it would be quite a clash from the last episode if I were to suddenly remove it. But in the next episode, we're going to be moving on to Jarkandar, where once I get rid of it, it's going to be all new environments on that side, and it's going to be much easier to delete this current texture pack and go back to the vanilla one without it really being that obvious. And by the time we get back, I think people are not really going to notice it that much. So, but I wanted to address that before we moved on, and I was kind of curious what other people thought on the subject of texture packs, and specifically the one I used. But at the end of the day, we're just going back to vanilla, just so I get these people out of my ear and focused on the actual content of the videos instead of just whining about how their walls and floors and everything look. So, with that said, our first order of business as a militiaman is to get back to Lord Hagen, where, as normally occurs in the gameplay, we get the Eye of Innos, but unfortunately I've already gotten the authorization from him as the militiaman before I started recording, so it doesn't really matter, it's all the same. What we're focused on is advancing our rank once we get back, which actually doesn't have anything to do with it doesn't have anything to do with coming back from the Valley of Mines. It has to do with the murder investigation around Bennett. So,
I want to take up service with the Order.
To be a warrior of Innos means to devote yourself entirely to the cause of Innos. Only the noblest and bravest warriors are accepted into our order. If you are truly determined to become a paladin, you must prove that you are worthy.
I want to take up service.
So talking to Lord Hagen, just the investigation plays out the same. We need to complete the investigation and the interrogation of Cornelius in order to complete it and finally get our acceptance into the ranks of the Paladins. So we're just going to head upstairs, and each faction has a different way to deal with Cornelius. And with the Militia, unfortunately, it is the most expensive way to deal with this. Basically, all three factions have the ability to bribe Cornelius for his diary and to get his true testimony. But for the Militia, that is actually the only way to complete it. So all of the dialogue up until we accuse him plays out the same. So as you're gonna see, trying to do the alternative, the not paying him options, don't really amount to anything.
Perjury will land you in the slammer for a long time.
You're trying to threaten me? A little guardsman is threatening me, the secretary to the governor? If you don't get lost right now, I'll see to it that you are demoted.
I don't believe you.
So what? What are you going to do about it?
You hold your life dear, don't you?
If you attack me, they'll hang you. I have powerful friends. So don't you dare lay a finger on me. Now, get out of here, or I'll call the guards.
I am the guards. But apparently that doesn't matter. So like I said, our only recourse is to pay him for his testimony.
What is it you want?
You don't even have enough gold to pay me.
How much?
2,000 gold pieces. Well, that could make me rethink the matter.
Here's the gold.
It's better if I don't ask where you got that. To be honest, I don't really care, but we're in business.
Now be careful here. For some reason, the option to give him the gold remains, and you can accidentally give it to him again.
In times like these, it's everyone for himself.
His testimony is exactly the same.
Who paid you?
That's enough. He'll kill me.
So there's nothing new to really see there. All we need is a diary, and he's gonna do a runner.
I'll stay in town now. I'll give you my diary. That should be proof enough.
Now, his diary reveals that he got paid 10,000 gold to, to testify against Bennett, which is, kind of begs the question, what's he gonna do with that at this point? And with now the 2,000 that we gave him, he's obviously disgraced himself. He's never gonna be able to spend that money, and he's never gonna be able to, defect to Onar's farm or anything. He's got nowhere to go, so nowhere to enjoy that money and all the luxury that he expects to get with it. So now is our opportunity to rat him out, and
Cornelius lied.
with that comes our opportunity to
I've got his diary.
advance
Everything's in there.
as a holy warrior of Innos.
Criminal. In view of the new evidence, there is nothing else I can do. By virtue of the office granted me by King and Church, I declare that the prisoner Bennett is exonerated of all charges and is thereby a free man. Cornelius is to be taken into immediate custody for perjury.
He's made himself scarce.
Sooner or later he will turn up, then we shall arrest him. Your deeds would give honor to one of our own.
Indeed. So, for whatever reason, I decided not to do that just yet. I'm not really sure what was going on in the original video. I just walked away and probably said something stupid, and now we're going back to finish it.
I want to take up service with the Order.
Good. You have proven that you have the courage, the skill, and the devotion to serve Innos. Your deeds bear witness to a pure heart. If it is your wish, then I shall bid you welcome to our order.
I'm ready.
Then so shall it be. Many men have taken this path and given their lives in the name of Innos. Do you swear that your deeds will honor their deaths and proclaim the fame of Innos?
I swear.
Then, from now on, you are a member of our fellowship. I hereby appoint you a warrior of Innos. I give to you the weapons and armor of a knight. Bear them with pride, knight. Henceforth, by virtue of your rank, you shall have access to the monastery. Albrecht will teach you our magic. Just go and talk to him. And of course, our quarters in the upper end of the city are now open to you.
So he says we now have access to the monastery, but he gave that to us already with his authorization. He also mentioned talk to Albrecht to get some knowledge of paladin magic. Truth be told, at this point, he doesn't have much to give us. All he gives us is the Holy Light spell that we already have a copy of, having found it on the corpse of Oryx's brother at the Valley of Mines Pass. But as time goes on, we get access to higher ranks of paladin magic, which I'll go over exactly how that works once we have the chance to get
What
it.
does it mean to be a paladin?
A paladin is a warrior of Innos. He lives in order to serve him and fights in order to do him honor. In return, the gift of magic is bestowed upon us. The magic of runes, which we are granted as recognition for our deeds.
Can you teach me something?
If you prove yourself worthy, I shall bestow the magic runes of the paladins upon you. Beyond that, I can teach you to increase your magic power.
Am I worthy of receiving a rune?
As a sign of your rank, I bestow upon you the Rune of Light. It is a symbol of truth and justice. Light the way for all those who walk the path of Innos. You must earn all other runes. Come again when you think you have proven yourself worthy.
So we are not worthy yet. We only get new access to new runes as each chapter progresses. This swagalicious fellow looks familiar, but we'll leave him be for now. truth be told, I'm not a fan of doing post-commentary in general because the main reason is because I cannot be sure that I'm covering exactly. I have a bad memory, as anybody who's watched my stuff for long enough can probably tell. I don't remember what I did when I was recording this, so doing a post-commentary over what was formerly a live recording is even worse, because obviously there's stops and pauses where I was saying something in the commentary, in the audio that was lost. So, truth be told, I don't really know what I'm doing next in this clip here.
I agree with you completely.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I'm not touching that.
Apparently I'm doing some parkour. This is something I know that pisses off some of the people who watch my stuff. Anytime I stop to talk, I just fuck around the whole time because I have idle hand syndrome. I just can't keep my hands still when I've got something to say.
Why won't they listen to me?
So that's why I'm just being really annoying.
Looks like your career really took off. Paladin of the King. Wherever you go from here, don't forget your old master.
So we can continue to work for Bosper, even though we are now obviously answering to a higher calling than getting him his silly furs and whatnot. Now, I'm not going to get one here, but I just want to show you the conversation with Herod about getting a magic ore weapon.
Are you still working for the Paladins?
I finished the commission from Lord Hagen. Now I'm making magic ore blades for him. But for pay this time. But I also have the time again to make a few weapons on the side for the merchants in the marketplace. So, if you're looking for a good blade, you should try them.
Tell me more about magic ore blades.
Creating a magic blade is a very complicated and expensive process, but the result is a blade that's easy to handle and practically indestructible. The blade is certainly of good quality, but it will only show its true power in the hands of a paladin. A paladin sword is consecrated by Innos. As a result, the magic blade becomes an enchanted weapon that does incomparable damage.
I want to buy a magic ore blade.
You paladins can count yourselves lucky to be allowed to wield such excellent blades. By decree of Lord Hagen, I may only sell you a single magic weapon. So, what can I offer you?
So it's the same price whether you want a one- or two-handed sword. Basically, they're above
I'll take the
average.
one-handed sword.
Take good care of your new weapon. It's worth a fortune.
They're above average melee weapons. So this particular one, which I guess I did end up buying, I thought I didn't, but I'm not going to be able to get the full Monty out of it. You make the ore weapons a lot better later on, but since we're not focusing on a melee character, I can't even equip it in its basic form. For whatever reason, I didn't even take the time to look at it. So it's called a rough ore blade. In this form. It's actually, I guess, not above average right now because it's the same damage output as strength requirement, but once you get it upgraded, basically the damage increases without increasing the strength requirement. And there's actually an opportunity in Chapter 5 to upgrade it again, which we'll discuss when we get to that. Now the next thing I want to show you is as I believe I showed in the last episode, we know where Corndog hides after he runs out of town. As long as you don't chase him out of town, he won't get killed by the Seekers. And that's important because getting access to his corpse would require killing both of the Seekers on the road at that point. So it's much easier to let him get away. And I believe I recall at some point it is impossible to get your money back, but as long as we chase him out immediately, he still keeps the money with him. And I might just be misremembering that. He might always have the 2,000 gold, but I swear at one point, maybe it was just in the vanilla game without Night the Raven, that he actually didn't keep the money. So there's no way for you to get it back. So we didn't deal with these wargs as a mage, even though we easily could have wiped them out. But that as long as you never loot this bandit's corpse, it stays here permanently. So if you are having trouble with those wargs, just never try to loot that corpse. Not that you could anyway, as long as they're alive. But again, that's kind of the main reason why I like to keep them alive until this point. So Cornelius, as we've seen before, is hiding out in the old bandit camp, Brago's old hideout here in the cave. And we don't need to kill him to get our money back, so we can kind of keep our hands clean, but we do gotta knock him down. He's not gonna give it over willingly.
Leave me alone. Just you wait, you son of a bitch!
There we have it. So that's how you get a free testimony out of him as a militiaman. The only way you can really get it. So from there we just move on to the monastery. And I think, yeah, on the way I encounter this seeker here. So at the point we are, with the dex and bow skill that we have, and the bow that we have equipped, it is possible to kill the seekers just using the bow. But it kind of depends on their AI, because sometimes they're way more aggressive and throw their fireballs way faster. They also will switch to spells like Small Firestorm, which are even more dangerous. But as long as they're not really up and at them, we can take them down even quicker than they can take us down.
Hey!
Isgaroth doesn't really have anything for us, but what I'm doing, well, besides stocking up on potions, is I decided to grab a couple Summon Skeleton Scrolls just in case I end up using them at the Circle of the Sun, where we get the Eye of Innos later. Didn't end up using them, but it would be very difficult to try and take down those Seekers using any normal means at our disposal, so we're going to end up using the Fire Rain trick for both of the Militia and the Mercenaries. Now, Jorgen here, no different anytime you encounter him. His dialogue just amounts the same. He's going to point you in the direction of Pedro when he runs away, and you can suggest that he talks to old Melty in order to join the monastery. Now, Melty's dialogue can be a little bit different.
I can hardly believe it.
Depending on your guild.
Are you really a paladin now?
Obviously.
If someone like you is with the paladins, then Beliar's thugs had better watch out. If you did in the sleeper, that handful of orcs shouldn't be
more than a handful, my friend.
This is not only about the orcs.
I know, but it's still good to have you on our side.
Oh well.
What are you doing here in the monastery? Let me guess. You want to be instructed in the art of magic.
Perhaps.
I knew it. Best to talk to Marduk. He's responsible for you paladins. You'll find him in front of the chapel.
I need to get into the monastery. It's urgent.
Yes, sure. Here's the key.
So as a paladin, of course, we have access. So Milton doesn't even argue it with you. He just hands over the key. All the rest of his dialogue is the same, so we're just going to skip through that. Now, Parlan, I usually don't even talk to him when I get in here as the other guilds, but he actually does have dialogue, whether you're paladin or mercenary.
You don't have to ask me that.
I see that you have decided to fight on our side. I am glad. We can use every man.
You should have known better.
You should go speak directly to Marduk. He is responsible for you paladins.
I want to
Nothing's ever gonna change that.
Have you got anything else for me?
Yes, as a member of the library, you are given the key to the library. There you will find brothers Karis and Hyglass. If you like, you can speak with them there.
So I don't know when we became a member of the library,
May Innos...
but truth be told, even if he didn't give you the key, for some reason the key just sits on the floor outside the library door once you get here as either of the other guilds. So it's a little bit weird. Now, Opolis actually has an opportunity to get some XP just by giving him the news. So make sure you talk to him. I think I forgot to do it as a paladin.
Anything's possible.
So there's no reason for Parlin to give you the key. I said to talk to Marduk
Welcome, my son.
for...
Since when are you one of the paladins?
I said to talk to Marduk as a paladin to
Only
learn
for a
magic,
short
but the only
time.
thing he really gives you
Bid you
is
welcome.
tell you how to
In
consecrate your
this battle,
sword.
we need every man who has the courage to oppose evil. The fate of us all lies in the hands of men like you. May Innos ever give you the courage you need.
What's your job here?
I prepare the paladins for their fight against evil.
That's nothing new.
What is evil?
Evil is everywhere. It is power of Innos. It is rule of Innos. It is the all-encompassing blackness. It receives the black light of Innos forever. It is the Lord of darkness, hate, and destruction. Only those ones whose hearts burns the holy fire of Innos will bear radiant light into the world and banish the darkness.
But our own magicians and monks is living monsters.
That's right. In contrast to our human charms of Innos, the paladins are the great deeds of our Lord of all else. We are representatives of Innos, the paladins are his warriors, who go down in his name and increase his glory.
Is there anything teaching?
I am expert in magic of ice and the magic of thunder. I can teach you no power. However, I only instruct magicians.
What can you teach me?
Naturally, I cannot teach you your combat skills. I can, however, bring the essence of Innos and his gifts closer to you. Besides, it is my task to prepare you for the consecration of the sword.
And the magic?
Here, we teach only our magic. You must learn the magic of the paladins in the city.
What's the consecration of the sword?
The consecration of the sword is one of the paladin's most sacred rituals. During this ceremony, the holy power of Innos flows through the blade of the paladin's sword and gives the sword undreamed of powers. A sword so consecrated is a paladin's most valuable possession and will accompany him his whole life long.
Those are all just rumors.
What do you mean by that?
When Innos had to leave our world, he left humankind a part of his divine power. Only a few of us humans are allowed to use his power and to oversee justice in his name.
And what do you want to bring closer to me?
I can set you on the right path to recognize the essence of Innos and follow him.
Anything's possible.
Maybe later.
You are heartily welcome here anytime.
You have to feel
I
sorry
want to
for the
consecrate
guy.
my sword.
If you are determined to take this step, you will first need a blade of tempered ore. With this, you should then retreat to the chapel and pray. During the prayer, and after a reasonable donation to our Lord Innos, you should ask Innos for his grace and guidance in the battle against evil. If Innos is well disposed towards you, your sword will be consecrated to our Lord from that moment on.
Who told you that?
What kind of a donation?
Now, in view of the grace that is granted to you, a sum of 5,000 gold pieces is more than suitable. Of course, you are allowed to give more.
You have to feel sorry for the poor guy.
Where can I get a magic blade?
Try in the city with Herod, the smith. He provides the paladins with specially tempered blades while they are on the island.
Consecrating your sword is one of the ways you can upgrade it, and with the weapon we have now, it bumps up to 120 damage, but it still requires 100 strength, so we're not going to be able to use it, and that's a fat cost of 500 gold, a tribute to Innos' overwhelming treasury in order to fight better in his name. So that's not something we're going to do here, but if you are focusing on a melee build, it might be worth it for you. So we step inside, and essentially the same conversation with Pyrocar here. Same glitch topic on the subject of the missing citizens.
Some citizens of Korinis have mysteriously disappeared.
Take your tribute to Gorax at the monastery at once. He will handle it further.
The same is true. If
What about a little blessing? I could surely use it.
May Innos stand between you and harm on all the unholy paths you will have to walk.
So I don't know why, I'm not sure what I was talking about when I started running around here. Nothing useful, probably. There's actually more to get out of the other two High Council members. So there's a unique quest we get as a militia / paladin. Serpentis himself doesn't have anything for us as this guild, but
Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Get out of the way!
he kind of gives us a partial version of the mining shares quest that the fire mages get.
Is there anything else you want to tell me?
Dismissed. You know what you have to do.
One more thing. Some of the roadside shrines dedicated to Enos have been desecrated by the enemy. They have lost their magical consecration.
I see. And now?
It is up to you to purify these shrines so that the situation does not escalate. Take this holy water and trickle it on the base of the shrine. With the holy words of purification, the shrine will regain its old power. Here is a map for you. The shrines which we have set up are marked on it. Now, go and perform your tasks.
So it's a little bit weird that we don't get that quest as a fire mage. Apparently they think it's beneath us. It seems even stranger because you can get that quest as a militia before you even become a paladin. So it's not dependent on you becoming a paladin. It's dependent on you having chosen the militia path and reaching chapter 3. So all the shrines are marked here. Bear in mind, this is all the shrines that are on the island. Not necessarily all those shrines have been desecrated. So you kind of have to work that out. But at the end of this video, I'm going to show you which ones you need to get to, and kind of not really an ideal order on how to get to them, but some of them are pretty out of the way.
Do you know where Pedro is?
Do you think I'd be standing around here if I knew where the renegade was hiding? He must pay for his deeds. I hope we manage to get the eye back. You have to help us. Find him and bring back the Eye of Innos.
Now, I decided to check in on how Karis and Highglass reacted to us coming in here while we were supposed to be hot on the heels of Pedro, and Karis is actually very, very much an asshole to you if you are not a mage at this point in the game.
Hey!
What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be on your way and looking for the underhanded traitor Pedro?
He's not gonna get very far.
I hope so for your sake. If he should escape because you've been lollygagging here, I will personally drag you before the tribunal.
What would you accuse me of?
Conspiracy with the enemy. It takes little imagination to picture the punishment for such an offense. And now, see to it that you lose no more time. Otherwise, the next time we meet, it will be at the stake.
So basically, he threatens us and
hey,
suggests that we are another unholy traitor
be on your way.
if we don't do exactly what he tells us.
Hey!
I am Master Highglass.
Now, as far as Highglass is concerned, he offers the same quest to get the book Divine Power of the Stars, and he also will cancel the quest if we try and suggest that we get a reward for it. I don't believe he offers this quest to you if you're a mercenary, however.
What are you studying, Master?
My research focuses on fire.
So from this point on, the quest is effectively the same. I gotta be honest, part of the issue I had with this episode is that I lost the end of this recording for the Paladin run, so I don't really have anything to show for us killing or taking out the Circle of the Sun. The only thing I really wanted to show was a little trick for taking out the two tramps that are sitting under the arch near Grimbald. Basically, I just suggest that you stand on the tall rocks beside them and snipe them, because they have too much trouble getting up to you from there. But unfortunately, like I said, I lost that part of the recording, and I don't understand how. I think what I'm going to end up doing, honestly, is switching back because I started using OBS to record video for the last 2 episodes, and I cannot explain for the life of me where the rest of these clips have gone. It just seems like this one, it just lost the last 5 or 6 minutes of it. And you'll see in the Mercenary run, there's a big skip in the middle of it. I might just edit it around it because I haven't really seen what's missing yet, but there's a skip in the middle of it where I lost about 4 minutes of video. And OBS does not have any kind of overlay to tell me whether or not it's actively recording. I would have to look at my second screen like every 30 seconds or so just to keep an eye on it and see if it's had any problems. And frankly, I much prefer the class, I much prefer DX3, which has a big FPS overlay in the top right that turns green and red depending on whether or not it's recording. And that's much more easy to monitor, not to mention never once has that failed me like this. So OBS, fine for streaming, sucks dick for recording, and that is my final word on it. So with that said, we're basically just moving on to the Mercenary bit here. When it comes to dealing with a Seeker here, they're much more difficult to engage in melee. Essentially your only recourse, if you don't have really high strength and weapon skill at this point, is to try and just lay into them and stun lock them. I like the combination that I use of the left-right swings and the forward swings. Basically I just go left, forward, left, forward, left, forward, because that gives me enough forward momentum, and you can keep that up as an infinite combo, but it gives you the forward movement that you need to kind of close the gap. But the Seeker in any NPC really does back up more than the single swing will propel you forward, so it's wise to mix in a full normal combo just to maintain that close distance and avoid getting hit by the Fuego balls. So from here, everything amounts to the same. One of the things I did want to show, which I realized I was not able to because we can't complete the Eye of Innos bit until we get back from Jarkandar, is that Zardos will actually have a unique dialogue that's very difficult to encounter. It was brought up by my friend Val, who had me do it in the live streams last year. Basically, Zardos, if you have not advanced your guild to the next one as a mercenary or militia soldier, if you haven't advanced your guild, he won't even talk to you about fixing the Eye of Innos until you've done that. And it's a really weird, like, aggressive comment that he makes, but I don't remember exactly what he says. I'll show it when we are able to get to that point. But for now, we're just going to move on. And on on Lobart's farm, things have changed a little bit, but not nearly as bad as they did for either of the other 2 guilds. I think I also failed to show that the militia members get the quest to get the medicine for Lobart's wife, but we do not get the quest where the Seekers have taken Vino up the hill, which I was not able to complete in the last video, but we'll get to that, because that's related to a bunch of other quests we gotta get to. However, we do get one quest on the farm regarding Malith, the shepherd.
In the last few days?
Just go down the path to the city. If you run into a fellow with a black robe, then you'll know what's new.
Have the Black Robes come to see you yet?
Yeah, they've been here for a few days. If you ask me, they come straight from hell.
How are your sheep?
As if that would interest you at all. You have other problems.
My problems? What would you know about that?
You filthy mercenaries only think of one thing. How do I get other people's money into my pocket?
What's your problem?
I blame that moonshine rotgut. Vino palmed off on me a few weeks ago. I can hardly remember anything at all, man. I only know that my walking stick has been missing since then.
And that's what you're raising such a ruckus for?
That's easy for you to say. It doesn't belong to you.
Well, don't get all worked up.
Beat it.
So, all that's really gone wrong on the farm here is that Malith apparently had a bit too much of Vino's moonshine and lost his very treasured walking stick. So we gotta go fetch a stick for him.
What? Well, that's... How's your farm?
I can't stand it anymore. All of a sudden, these fellows in black hoods showed up and posted themselves on the road, and on my farm. I'm falling apart here.
Have you talked to the men in black?
Sure. There was no way to prevent it. I think they're looking for someone.
Why don't you do anything about those black robes?
Well, I'd surely love to, but I saw how they burned one of the townspeople alive. Just like that. Why should I risk my life?
So, as we can see,
Hey,
Lobart's
you.
wife at least is in good health still. Doesn't give us soup anymore, I'm afraid. But, yeah, so it turns out Malice's walking stick became a nice chew toy for a shadow beast that made its home up here. Luckily, we're at the point where we can take on shadow beasts without too much risk to ourselves. I used to think there were two up here, but it turns out it is just a one. We know the strafe trick to sneak up on them quickly and quietly. With the two-handed weapon, of course, it's more difficult to try and backstep dodge through their attacks, but, you know, I've gone over that topic enough times, I don't need to keep repeating it. The walking stick is right in the middle of the stone circle, I believe. There it is. I didn't check to see if it had a unique description, but it's basically just a standard walking stick. Probably has a unique tag, or a unique call-out in the description that it belongs to Malith. So I've never tested it here, but it turns out that the reward for Malith actually does depend on which option you choose. So if you... He suggests giving you a tip on where some bandits walked off with a big bushel of gold. If you take the reward from him...
That's terrific.
Just a moment.
He gives you whatever paltry amount of money he has. I forgot what it was.
I don't have much.
Then think of something else.
Okay, how about this? Yesterday I saw some bandits run past with a few bags of gold. If I tell you where they keep their booty, can I have my walking stick back?
All right.
Okay. You just go west to that piece of woods over there. You'll find a ravine there. You should find something in the cave there.
You're in for it.
So it turns out it's only 35 gold. But if you were to... The bandits are there whether or not you ask for the tip from him. However, asking for the tip generates a large bag of gold in the inventory of one of the bandits. So once you're able to get it, I had a lot of difficulty fighting these bandits. They're very high-level NPCs, so they use the advanced fighting techniques that are much harder to exploit.
I want your
so
gold.
essentially, my
Here's
method is to
everything I
sneak
have.
around them
That has to
and
be enough.
get behind the two that are posted on the road. Once you're able to do that, essentially using the same strategy I showed you as one of the ways to get into the city in the first episode. Once you get behind them, just use a fire rain spell once you step inside the cave, and you can wipe them out pretty easily. And there's a bandit inside, I believe, labeled Bandit Leader or something. Or Rogue Leader, sorry. But he's the one who will have the bag of gold if you ask for the tip on where you can find the money. And the bag of gold itself, called Bag Full of Gold, contains 300 gold pieces. So it was almost a almost 10 times the amount of gold, as long as you do it this way, but you're gonna have to use a fire range spell just to complete this, unless you're a much better fighter than I am. So one of the things I had the unique opportunity to show here is that if you do not have all the evidence to uncover Fernando's involvement with the bandits, it's actually hilarious. You can have the weakest piece of evidence, and he will confess to it. However, even with that bit of evidence and his confession, it's not enough evidence for Martin to actually take any action, which is kind of hilarious. But apparently, when I was playing this, I seemed to have discarded the letter to the bandits from Fernando somehow. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I don't know what I did with it. And so, actually I do know what I did with it. I stashed it somewhere, because I thought I had already used it. Problem is, I don't remember where I stashed it, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Either that, or I can just cheat it into my inventory at some point. But now, we're just going to make our way to the monastery. At this point, if you want to advance to Dragon Hunter, just free Bennett like you normally do. I think I missed it in the recording. The only difference with Cornelius is that you can actually threaten him because you're a mercenary, and he feels that you're sort of outside the jurisdiction of the militia. He actually takes your threat seriously, and it's enough to scare him straight. So luckily you don't need to pay him off or anything. Now moving on to the monastery, it all basically plays out the same, except the dialogue with Milton and Parlin are a little bit different.
Do you know where
in it after but
do you know I need to get
I can't let you into the monastery without the permission of my
I've got a letter from
Show me. All right. Here's the key to the monastery. Pyrocar is in the church.
So we need the letter of authorization to get into the monastery, otherwise Milton will stop us. And Parlin is none too thrilled to see us in here.
I do not know why you were allowed to enter the monastery. I am Parlin, and I am responsible for our novices. I do not want you to keep them from their work with stupid questions. Is that clear?
I shall do what I
Oh, you can't stop me.
There must be reasons why you are tolerated here. But there is a limit to everything. If you cause trouble, you'll pay for it. So stay away from the novices.
He really should have known better.
Where can I
As if I don't have enough problems.
The church.
Lord Almighty.
Tell me that isn't true.
Has Inos stricken you blind? Where is the church?
As if I don't
Oh
have
my, where could it possibly be?
Path of virtue.
Yeah, I'll bug you with the stupid questions instead. How about that?
You already know what I think.
So he doesn't tell us that we're able to get into the library, but the key is still here nonetheless. And for some reason I didn't think to talk to those idiots in there before advancing the quest, but Karis is as angry with us post Pedro as he was when we were Paladin.
Old Valley of Mines.
What do you have to report?
Conversation with Pyrocar works out the same no matter what.
From its place unharmed.
Now, Serpentis actually does have a sort of abridged version of the Mining Shares quest for us here. Although we don't actually see what the details are.
Not so fast. I have another task for you. A mercenary for hire of your kind could be of use to us in this matter.
For some reason, we have to assume that it's to kill somebody.
For Inos' sake. No one, of course. This business demands a bit more finesse, you lout. Salandril, the alchemist from the upper end of town, is guilty of a serious crime and must be punished for it. However, he has refused to come to the monastery to be judged. Bring him here. How you accomplish this does not matter to us. You will, of course, be rewarded.
No problem. I'll take care of it.
Good. We expect to hear from you in a few days.
It says in a few days. I don't know if there's an actual time limit to this quest.
One more little thing. Stay away
So
from the
Ulthar just
roadside
tells us that the shrines are desecrated, but we are not gonna be the ones to take care of it. So this kind of spoils what exactly is going on with the mining share quest, but basically, as a fire mage, we find out that Salandril is the one who was disseminating them to begin with, and that is a crime he is guilty of. We don't hear what the crime is as a mercenary, but nonetheless, we have to bring him in.
How's it going?
I thank
Now, there is another quest we encounter here, I believe, as a mercenary and as a militia/paladin. I decided to chat with the novices for some reason. None of them really have anything good to say. The test of magic never happens if you are not part of it. So all of these novices who normally die along the way or get involved just carry on their daily humdrum duties. Now, as I said, talking to Opolis, we have some XP we can get just having a chat with him.
They stand around and munch grass. I'd rather know what's happening outside. The magicians seem to be very nervous.
Pedro betrayed us.
I'd heard that, but I didn't know that you were aware of that too. That's why I didn't say anything. Is the enemy stronger than us? I mean, can we defeat him?
We're not dead yet. Strangers in black robes roam the countryside.
What do you mean? What sort of strangers?
Nobody knows where they've come from. They wear long black robes and they cover their faces. They seem to be some kind of magician. At least they're capable of magic.
That sounds very disturbing, but I'm sure that the High Council will solve this problem.
Man, they can't even solve the bed sores on their asses from sitting so
long. They are
long.
besieging the royal troops together with the army of orcs.
Dragons? I always thought they only existed in horror stories.
They're there, believe me.
But the king's paladins will deal with them, won't they?
We'll see.
So that's it. That's all we got out of them.
No one must violate the divine order.
Can't rely on that.
What are you doing
And yeah,
here?
Karis is going to be a dick to us, as he was before. But Highglass doesn't give us the quest to get the book from town. So, it's a bit of XP we don't get here.
What are you...
My research, it is his...
So, moving on to Gorax, he actually has something interesting for us, which is a quest that isn't really a quest. Difficult to explain. But as soon as you walk in, he's gonna try and blindside you with it.
Wait, mercenary, I need to talk to you.
What do you want?
The monastery is facing a very delicate situation. At the moment, everyone seems to mistrust everybody else. And then, this thing with Pedro, that's extremely... I have an assignment for you from the highest authorities. You're not a member of the Brotherhood of the Fire, and therefore, the only one here who can settle this matter for us. But I must warn you, if I give you this assignment, you'll be bound to fulfill it too. Once you know what it's about, you'll have no choice. Do you understand?
Tell me what you want.
All right, then listen well, for I'm only going to say this once. Serpentis wants you to kill Pedro for his treason. As soon as you lay your hands on him, you will be paid as soon as this task is fulfilled. I never said that, and you haven't heard anything either. Understand?
You can actually refuse it, but the only difference is you miss out on a quite hefty dose of XP. So basically, Serpentis does not believe that Pedro was a simple victim of the enemy. He believes that he is a willing conspirator against us and wants him to suffer for it. But
what are you doing
essentially,
here?
that's not a task we can ever actually fulfill. We'll address that when the time comes. Babo here actually has something for us.
Well, I mean, everything is just fine, really. Only, I don't want to complain.
Oh, come on, you can tell me.
And you really won't tell the magicians?
Do I look like I would?
All right. I have a problem with one of the novices. He's got a hold over me.
Come on, spit it out then.
Igaraz, that's the novice, found some of my private papers. He threatened to give them to the magicians if I don't do what he says.
What kind of documents are those?
That's, nobody's business. It's entirely my affair.
Come on, tell me.
They are, entirely normal documents. Nothing special.
I won't ask any further. What are you supposed to do for him?
I don't want to talk about it. In any case, it isn't pleasing to Innos. I don't want to think what would happen if it came out.
Maybe I can help you.
You would do that?
Well, that depends, of course.
Naturally, I'd pay you for that.
How much?
Of course, I don't have much money, but I could give you a spell scroll. I have a healing spell.
I'll see what I can do.
Honestly, it just has to work. It has to. So, you only need to find out where Igarez keeps the stuff. Then you swipe it from him, and everything will be just fine.
Relax. You just continue for now. I'll see to the rest.
So we can go have a conversation with Igarez.
I couldn't get away with that. What can I do for you?
We need to talk about Babo.
Yes? What's wrong?
You've got something which belongs to Babo.
What might that be?
A few papers. Babo would like them back.
He would, wouldn't he? I can imagine. Unfortunately, I prefer to keep them, which brings us to a bit of a dilemma.
What was Babo supposed to do for you?
If I had known the baby would do it in his pants over a few swamp weeds, then I would have seen to it that someone else took care of the monastery garden.
He's supposed to grow swamp weed?
Of course. Since none of that stuff comes out from behind the barrier anymore, the price in the city has tripled. It could have been a good bargain for everyone involved. But Babo didn't want to play along.
How much do you want for the papers?
Actually, they're almost priceless. You very rarely see something like that here. But I have no desire to wager my future against a few gold pieces. 300 gold pieces, and you can do what you like with the papers.
Where have you got the papers?
Well, of course I don't have them on me. I'm afraid I can't help you further.
Where are they?
I have them safely locked up, and you will never get the key from me.
So Igarez's chest is in his chambers here, which we're not allowed to be in, so just be sure that you aren't seen sneaking in there. However, the issue is that his chest is a key lock. So basically, any lock in this game that requires a key typically cannot be picked.
Right key.
So we have to get the key from him. I think you can pick his pocket for it.
I want to buy
but if you don't have high dexterity, you're gonna need
I can't leave here right now.
Buy the key from him.
I'll give you the key to my chest. There's nothing else in there anyway.
It's kind of a dangerous thing that he tells us to go loot it, since Marduk or any novice can potentially see you walking in there and give you hell. So we got the bundle of papers. I wonder what is inside them that could be so blackmailing. We got a letter to Babo now. What now? Well, let's read the letter first. No doubt you're wondering how we came to write you this letter. We took all our savings to Master Marles, don't know who that is, and asked him to write these lines for you. Wish you all the best for the future and are sending you a picture as a farewell gift so you will always remember us during those long nights in the monastery, whoever that was. And a picture of a, hey now, I'm not sure I can show this on this. Oh my. Well, that is certainly detailed. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this picture actually shows up in the first game, and I guess they decided to repurpose it for something in here. Somebody remind me where it was. I think Graham the cartographer actually had it in the first game.
That's just what I said.
I've got your documents.
Really? Oh, thanks. You've saved me. I don't know how to thank you.
Yeah, just calm down.
Are they really mine? Are you sure? Show me.
Based on the bare facts, the price has gone up.
Yes, indeed.
You're no better than the others. What do you want?
What have you got?
I can give you 121 gold coins. That's all I have.
Agreed.
Here's the money and the spell scroll.
So the reward's not really worth it for how much we spent.
It's
but
alright, but I need to get back to work.
Yes,
Otherwise,
you're
I'll
basically
never
paying
get
for
finished
XP at
today.
that point.
I don't want to work half the night again in order to finish my obligation and stay out of trouble.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, if you don't agree to give it to him right then and there, if you say you're going to hang on to it, I'm not sure he ever gives you the option to actually give it back again, so you're kind of stuck with him. So from here, it's the same, basically the same outcome if we were to try and do this as the paladin. The difference is, since we don't have a bow, dealing with the tramps here is much more difficult. I actually could not kill them in melee because they simply outdamage me. Might not be so difficult if you were to get the Dragon Hunter armor, but considering how quickly they mop the floor with me, I'm not sure that that would even be enough to help. So, luckily, they don't actually stop us for any reason. They're just kind of there, so we can just waltz right past them. From here, well, we basically deal with the circle of the sun the same way we did as a mage. So just take a stroll up there. I think I used a snapper weed last time. It's not really necessary.
You have come too late. We have destroyed the Eye of Innos, so that it can never regain its power. We shall now demonstrate the futility of your attempt to challenge the Master.
I shall demonstrate the futility of your attempt to live. If you run around quick enough, you can try and get the rest of the Seekers. Fire Rain doesn't really last long enough to get all of them. But it is what it is, and from here, everything kind of works out the same. There's not really anything more to see, so I guess this is where we're gonna end up wrapping up the video. Because, well, I didn't have a proper ending to give you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very kindly for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you aren't already, don't forget to follow on Twitch, linked in the description below. Also links to my Twitter and Discord if you want to engage in any hilarious banter. And we'll hopefully have a proper video finally making it through the portal to Jarkandar next time, before too long. Otherwise, don't forget to wash your hands, stay safe, stay healthy, all that good stuff. Because I want to see you back here again next time, whenever that happens. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful night.
Innos, grant me your aid and purify this shrine.
There he is.
Innos, grant me your aid and purify this shrine. Innos, grant me your aid and purify this shrine. Inos, grant me your aid and purify this shrine. Inos, grant me your aid and purify this shrine. Inos, grant me your aid and purify this shrine. Inos, grant me your aid and all that. Now there, that ought to be the last time.